What's up and welcome to the kingdom. My name is Delissa and this morning we will be doing a reaction to the brand new Style Theory video, and this one will be Style Theory, why millennials are happier than Gen Z's. Style Theory, why millennials are happier than Gen Z. Style Theory. Let's see and find out what this will be about. Like, comment, subscribe, tell us what you want us to try to next. And also, don't forget to hit that bell icon so you will get notified whenever we upload, post, and go live on Daily and Below Dolls. Without further ado, 3, 2, 1, and let go. Now, let go.
Gen Z is depressed, and the cure is millennial cringe. But how did millennials end up cool again?
Okay, that's tough.
Let's find out. Hello, Internet. Welcome to Style Theory, the show that was cringe before it was cool.
Yeah.
Again, Gen Z, our current generational leaders for everything pop culture, have a new hyperfixation, millennials. Now, hear me out. They've been scrolling way back in their feeds, looking back at how millennials lived in the early 2010s. The grainy photos, the mustache tattoos, Apple photo booth selfies, and of course slapping keep calm and carry on literally everything. To Gen Z, this was the epitome of uncool. It was
Yeah. It can go both ways, honestly.
chewy. It was cringe. And what do people tend to do when they find something they think is so bad it's funny? They start to do it ironically. They started mimicking millennials, copying their old outfits, using their slang, and recreating their iconic poses as a joke. The millennial optimism trend started as a way to point and laugh at the way that millennials used to behave online, and kind of still do. At least that's what it was until recently. Suddenly it wasn't ironic anymore. Gen Z was actually enjoying being millennials. I know! But why? Was it the looks, the lols, or something else that we haven't quite put our finger on? Well, sit back, grab a snack, and get ready to figure out what made Gen Z do an Uno reverse on their opinion of millennial
That's true. Okay.
cringe. When it comes to things that are iconically millennial, there is one thing you can't overlook: the looks. From roughly the early 2000s to the late 2010s, millennials were the dominant trend-setting generation, especially when it came to what was and what wasn't cool to wear. Listen, we all know that Y2K has a stranglehold on fashion to this day.
Yeah. I mean, I did hear about that. Yeah.
Baby tees, low-rise pants, rom-com era dresses, all of these have been all over social media since 2020. And look, the return of colorful barrettes, butterfly clips, and platform shoes is really only the tip of the new millennium fashion iceberg. Yeah, TikTok didn't really start the niche trend.
Yeah, that would make honestly kind of sense. Like,
Millennials had plenty infamous ones of their own, including mall chic. This was popular kid fashion, where you would wear big-name mall brands as a badge of honor.
okay.
And a lot of them. This was the era of layers upon layers upon layers. If you weren't wearing at least 3 shirts, you were underdressed. But these shirts couldn't just be from any store. The it crowd and anyone who wanted to fit in shopped at very specific stores found in your local mall. Abercrombie and Hollister were the be-all end-all of back-to-school shopping. The standard everyday millennial uniform included at least 2 long lace camis layered so that you could see the bottom lace edge of both of them over your American Eagle jeans or jean skirt. Over top the camis, you had the option of either a knit sweater, a polo, or a peplum top. And if you were somehow feeling cold under all of those layers, you could add a hooded zip-up, a faux fur trim zip-up, or an army jacket. But if you were going for casual, then you were wearing pink. And no, I don't mean the color, I mean pink the brand. Victoria's Secret's pink line was at its peak. Hoodies, sweaters, sweatpants, yoga pants, even the collectible dog plushies were on every teen's wish list. And then you had the hipster. The hipster started as the opposite of all things mainstream. Aside from the attitude of being so over it, the look itself consisted of a few notable pieces. Skinny jeans, typically in a dark wash, were very common, as were v-neck t-shirts and graphic tees of obscure indie bands. Because you knew about them before they were cool.
I didn't.
Duh. This was usually paired with an oversized flannel, suspenders, or both if you were feeling especially anti-establishment that day. However, this didn't stay exclusive for long. As with many things, it was only a matter of time before being hipster became the popular thing to do. Sorry, hipsters. But if you're feeling sad and down, you can find the cure to turn that frown upside down with ZocDoc, our sponsor for today's episode. When I'm so sick I give myself the ick, mustering up the energy to call and make an appointment feels impossible. So when I learned that with ZocDoc, all I needed to do was go to their free website to instantly
ZocDoc sounds amazing, no cap.
book an appointment with a high-quality doctor tailored to my needs. You bet I jumped on that. With ZocDoc, I can easily search and compare
Well, when it comes to, finding appointment and doctors, that is.
quality in-network doctors across 150,000 providers in all 50 states to find the right one for my needs. Listen, we here at Style Theory HQ are big fans of therapy because mental health is real health. So when I started looking for a new therapist, I was able to find one who made me feel comfortable and practice in a method that worked for my brain. I felt heard. And I didn't have to settle for some rando who couldn't care less about figuring out what was causing me so much distress. Whew, it is such a huge...
They shouldn't honestly be doctors at that point. If they don't give a fuck.
relief to no longer have to stress over how to fix my stress. Talk about a vicious cycle. Now, I have the tools to help me work through any stressful situation. Like, booking a doctor's appointment. With ZocDoc, you can typically find appointments within 24 to 72 hours of booking, or even score a same-day appointment. And you do it all without having to worry that you're sacrificing the quality of your care. So whether you're looking for a therapist, dentist, primary care doctor, or one of the other 200 specialties offered on ZocDoc, you can easily search by specialty or symptom to build the care team that's right for you. And did I mention that it's free? Because it's free. So start making the right choices for you and your health by scanning the QR code on screen or going to
Amazing.
ZocDoc.com/TheStyleTheorist to book your first appointment with a top-rated doctor today.
Okay.
Thank you again to ZocDoc for sponsoring this episode. Now let's get back to the video. There were two major accessories that really defined the transition of hipsters from subculture to mainstream. One was the wide brim.
I'm hosting Friends tonight, and y'all know I love making a dinner vibe. But planning can take some time. So I partnered with Microsoft to share how Copilot Voice helps me put it all together.
Mainstream. One was the wide brim fedora, and the other were thick rim glasses, both real and fake. You saw celebrities like Taylor Swift rocking the look in her red era, and rising online influencers like Zoella also brought the trend online. Towards the mid-2010s, this look evolved into what is sometimes referred to as the Tumblr aesthetic, which took much of the popular hipster aesthetic and mixed in things like space buns, brightly colored lipsticks, and, of course, galaxy print.
Yeah. Alexa, send the voice messages to Window Queen.
Okay, Jalissa. Did you mean Reina the Window Queen Reina?
Yes.
What's your voice message?
I'm reacting to the brand new style theory why millennials are happier than Z's. The newest style theory. So yeah, that came out 9 days ago if you wanna drop in real quick. But if not, it's okay. You will get a notification and you can watch my reaction. If you don't wanna, react to it with me, it's fine. But yeah, just wanted to let you know.
Got it. Ready to send?
Yes.
Sending now.
Okay. Let's get back into the reaction.
going about wearing something ironically. Whether it's a silly t-shirt, fake glasses, or anything else that you're wearing for the lulz, if you're doing it for long enough, it starts to integrate itself into your personality, as Gen Z is finding out really fast. While looking back on millennial fashion,
Okay.
and wearing it as an almost cosplay may have started for laughs, it's getting really real. Hollister has relaunched its old school styles. Victoria's Secret's pink dogs are now bag charms, and even the Juicy Couture velour tracksuit is making a comeback thanks to Gen Z. But millennial fashion isn't the only thing that Gen Z is bringing back to life. Gen Z has shaped a lot of our current culture, and arguably their biggest impact has been the memification of everything. Our language, our media, and even how we express ourselves. Where millennials had their gifs, Gen Z had their memes, and many of them were aimed at poking fun at the previous generation. Though, and I say this with a ton of love, not without valid reasons. Listen, cringe may be cool again, but it was called cringe in the first place for a reason. Millennials liked and did things that, in retrospect, are kind of silly. Remember the mustaches? Alongside the rise of hipsters, another trend was taking hold of our clothes, our home goods, and even our skin. Mustaches. During the mid-2010s, an event called No Shave November was hitting its peak. This is an annual event meant to raise money for charity by growing out your facial hair. But kind of silly. Remember the mustaches? Alongside the rise of hipsters, another trend was taking hold of our clothes, our home goods, and even our skin. Mustaches. During the mid-2010s, an event called No Shave November was hitting its peak.
Okay.
This is an annual event meant to raise money for charity by growing out your facial hair. But charity wasn't the only thing benefiting from this hairy fundraiser. It also brought
Hi. Good morning. I slept good.
mustaches back to the forefront of people's minds and to their faces. By their nature,
Well, that's good.
mustaches are inherently funny, and I don't mean that as a slight to anyone with a mustache. There are many beautiful and sexy things that are just funny. But let's be real, if they weren't so funny, why else would they get nicknames like Lip Caterpillar or Flavor Saver, among other not suitable for YouTube nicknames? Millennials embrace this ridiculousness with full force by wearing shirts with mustache graphics, buying mustache mugs and mustache-shaped pillows, and infamously tattooing mustaches on their fingers so they could bring one with them wherever they go.
Yeah, okay.
Forever. Millennials always went all in on silly, whimsical trends. And I mean like all the way in. Almost every dollar of their allowance or part-time job paychecks went to building up their collections, with everything from mason jars and fairy lights to decorate their bedrooms and dorm rooms, to posters, notebooks, and pillows that read "Keep calm and carry on." That phrase was kind of the millennial equivalent of "live, laugh, love," which is kind of cringe, we can all admit it, and according to Gen Z, very at odds with their overall philosophy on life. To Gen Z, a generation who has built their entire personality on being authentic, all of this felt like performance art. It wasn't real. It was fake news. From the beginning, Gen Z has defined itself as a serious generation, one that cares about politics, the environment, mental health, and about how they are perceived. This mentality saw the millennial goofiness as a mask, a way of hiding the real people underneath, and saw hashtags like "good vibes only" as a way of denying and burying their real feelings. And they weren't shy to let people know about it. Over the past few months, Gen Z has been using all of these millennial markers in their TikToks as a way to poke fun at the older generation. Except it backfired in a way that no one saw coming. Throughout
Okay.
This entire episode, we've been talking about all of the cringe that Gen Z claims to hate. But if you remember back to the start of the episode, the trend isn't actually called millennial cringe. It's called millennial optimism. At the start of the trend, these words were used interchangeably. From the colorful pink sweats and 7 layers of camisoles to the fairy lights and mustache tattoos, everything that was millennial was meant to be fun, to be extra, to have whimsy. It's something that we still see millennials on social media embrace today. Scroll long enough on TikTok or Instagram and you're likely to come across a millennial who is healing their inner child by returning to all of the things that they loved as a kid. This creates nostalgia triggers in the brain that cause it to give you a burst of dopamine, aka the happy chemical. Nostalgia makes us feel good by reminding us of a different and typically easier time in our lives, or at least in the world. And that is an addictive feeling, especially if the rest of your life is causing you a lot of stress. Back in the 2010s, millennials were one of the most positive outlook generations on record. A study from that year found that 80% of millennials believed that hard work would lead to success, which makes sense. At the time, huge positive changes were happening. The fallout from the 2008 financial crisis was finally on an upswing, same-sex marriage was finally legalized, and the internet was new, with sites like Instagram and YouTube offering endless creative exploration. It was a time of optimism, at least in the US. But times change. In 2016, a similar study found that with worries around politics, debt, and job security now taking hold, millennials weren't feeling quite so jazzed. In fact, only 37% were confident in the future. Yeah, 80% to 37% is a big yikes. And this was when Gen Z was coming up in the world. Gen Z is the most anxious generation on record. Growing up online, they have always been overloaded with the good and bad of what's happening everywhere in the world at all times. Unlike millennials who had the choice to shut it off, Gen Z has never known a world without that online connection. They can't shut it off, but they can and are looking back to a simpler time. A time that, at least through the lens of filters and cringeworthy content, seems much more appealing. Yep, by giving all of their attention to using the way millennials used to live as a way of poking fun at them, they've accidentally become the thing that they were making fun of. This is the curse of irony. You know, that thing that we mentioned a little bit earlier?
It's not possible to wear something ironically.
So it is once. The moment that you decide to wear it again, you had some kind of feeling here that made it something that you liked. And the moment that it's something that you liked, it is no longer ironic. What you wear has a huge effect on how you feel, even if you don't mean for it to. We've talked before about how wearing certain colors can change your mood, and this is the same idea. It's called enclothed cognition. It's a fancy way of saying that how you dress affects how you feel. For example, if you dress like someone who is a leader, say a doctor, you are likely to feel more confident just by wearing the outfit. And if you dress like a 2010s optimistic millennial, well, you may just feel that unironic whimsy start to take hold of your brain. So the answer to why is Gen Z so obsessed with millennial cringe is simple. It is making them happy, and that is worth way more than looking cool. But hey, that's just a theory, a style theory. Keep calm and carry on. Up next on Style Theory. What is the Gen Z stare? Millennials are saying one thing and Gen Z is saying another. But who's right, and is this really a new trend at all?
Spectrum is helping build America. With a 100% US-based workforce and 100%.
Okay. Well, that's good. I hope you liked it.
Yeah, definitely. I do.
Okay. Also, after this, go to my YouTube channel once it's uploaded and watch the whole entire reaction.
Okay.
Since you missed some of it anyway.
Yeah, true.
Okay, so that will be the end of the reaction, everyone. So if you like the reaction, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, tell us what you would like us to react next. And until next time, this is Delicious Kingdom. And we will see you next time. We are out. Delicious out.